Okay, we're going to go ahead and start our new unit, Unit 1. And has some things that are going to be new and some things that are going to be not new. So first, here is the set of different numbers you should know. There's something called counting/natural numbers, and those are like, I'm teaching my son Braden to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. The next thing, we have whole numbers. All you have to do is add the number 0 to it. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. Then we have something called integers, and the symbol for that is this Z right here with the double slash in the middle. And that's going to be -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, so no decimals, no fractions there. Rational numbers are going to be numbers that can be written as a fraction. They can be written as decimals, but the decimals have to be terminated. So what that means is there has to be like an ending spot, or like 3/4 is 0.75, or it has to be a continuing repeating pattern. So 1/3 is 0.3 repeated. Numbers that aren't like that, because it's a little bit easier to explain, a counterexample would be irrational numbers, and that would be like the numbers pi, because it's 3.14, etc., and it keeps going and changing numbers. There's no pattern there. It goes on forever, but there's no pattern there, okay, with the decimal. And then real numbers are going to be rational and irrational, because we're going to talk about imaginary numbers eventually, so that's going to be the other type. So those are your numbers, and we're going to go all the way back to some basics, practice solving some easier linear equations, and then some other ones where you have to find the least common denominator, okay? So I'm going to do just a couple of the problems. I'm going to do probably 3 out of 4 of these, and I'm going to have you do 1. Okay, so for number 1, should be quick and easy, subtract 7 from both sides. So that's going to give us, whoa, why is it not working? There we go. 9x equals -19. Divide both sides by 9, and x equals -19/9. You'd want to simplify that if you can, but we can't. Do not put that in as a decimal unless you're going to use the repeated symbol, but I would keep it as a fraction, especially for Math Excel. It's a lot easier. So -19/9. All right, let's take a look at, I'm going to do number 3. So for number 3, you have to use the distributive property. So -12 times x gives you -12x. -12 times -12 is +144. I'm going to have to distribute the -9 on the right side. -9 times 1 is -9. -9 times 7 is -63x. From there, you're just going to combine your like terms by moving 1 over to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and add 12x. Lots of different ways to solve it from here. So I'm going to get 144 equals -9 minus 51x. Then I'm going to go ahead and add 9 to both sides. And that's going to give me 153 equals -51x. And then lastly, I'm going to divide everything by -51. And that actually gets me a nice number. It gets me -3. And you can always plug it back in and check it if you are unsure. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and this is kind of the harder one. So 1 and 3 you've been doing since Algebra 1. So let's take a look at number 4. We're solving this problem, but if you notice, it's over 2 and it's over 3. And in our last unit, we always had a common denominator, if you remember. So this time we don't. And when you add and subtract, you have to have a common denominator. So what you're going to do is find the least common denominator. And if you look at the bottom here, it's a 2 and a 3. So the least common denominator is a number that they both go into. So in this case, it's going to be 6. 2 and 3 both go into 6. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to multiply everything by 6, okay? So we're going to multiply everything by 6. And we're going to treat this 4 as 4 over 1, like a fraction, so that everything is being multiplied by 6, and something really nice is going to happen. So notice in this first part here, And I'm going to show this extra step, and I might erase it. When you multiply this, this is going to do 6 times x plus 3, and then it's over 2, minus 6 times 5 plus x over 3, and then you're going to end up having 4 times 6. So what ends up happening, if you notice here, is this 6 over 2 is simply going to simplify to just a 3 times x plus 3. And then if you take a look here, 6 over 3 is going to simply simplify to 2 times 5 plus x, and then that 4 times 6 is 24. A lot of times I see people jump straight to this line of work, and that is totally acceptable because a lot of you can look at this and say, oh, 6 over 2 is 3. Oh, 6 over 3 gives you that 2. So it's okay if you jump straight to that work, but the reason why it's like that is what I showed you above, because when you multiply by 6, you're multiplying that 6 to each term here. So each term, and that's why I'm using those parentheses there to multiply. So now I have to go ahead and distribute. So this is going to give me 3x plus 9 minus 10 minus 2x. You need to make sure you distribute that negative sign, and that's why it's helpful to put parentheses, equals 24. Combine my like terms. 3x minus 2x is x. 9 minus 10 is negative 1. Then I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and x is 25. Okay, awesome. All right, this last one here, I'm going to have you stop, and I'm going to have you try this alone and see how you can do, and then you're going to listen to my answer. You should be doing okay with it. It's an Algebra 1 problem. Okay, so tuning back in here, and you do need to listen to the video all the way through, so you've got to make sure that you've checked your answer. I'm going to distribute the 4 here. I'm going to subtract 3x from my work. There are other ways to do it. And then I'm going to add 32 to the other side. That gets me 31. And I'm done. X is 31. Okay. Next, we're going to be going into some other things such as linear inequalities, but that is it for now. You're going to go ahead and probably work on your Math Excelling class. All right. Thank you.